Welcome back to Leeds Lately. Before we get into this one, hit that button down below because there are going to be plenty more transfer videos on the way. Today's one is about two players from Bournemouth that Leeds United have been linked with. The first one being David Brooks and the second one being Chris Mepham. We'll first talk about David Brooks. Now, David Brooks, you'll remember a few years ago was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and luckily he made a full recovery from that and is looking to sort of restart and revitalise his career. He's played a few times for Bournemouth this season, but not really too much in the main picture. He's kind of behind Sinisterra, obviously came from Leeds, Dango Utara and a few other Bournemouth wingers. He's kind of down in the pecking order, so potentially a loan move to the Championship could sort of reignite his career. Primarily he's played as a right winger, but can also play in that number 10 role as well, and is pretty good at actually making passes through the defence and making through balls and stuff like that. So he could be a pretty good signing if we were to get him, actually. The last time he played a decent amount of games was in the Championship in 2020/2021 season, and he played 32 games, got 5 goals and 6 assists, which is not a bad contribution. But when you actually think about it, considering some of the contributions that some of our players have made already this season, namely Jorginho Rutter and Crescencio Somerville and Dan James, it's not actually that great because they've already surpassed that. But I think in terms of his strengths and weaknesses, it's probably a good type of position and good type of player for Leeds to bring in, especially on loan if we're trying to stay on the right-hand side of profit and sustainability rules. So his key strengths are his passing and his through balls and his key passes, which is something that actually really Leeds have lacked. In terms of breaking down a defence, okay, when we're on the counter-attack, we've been really good at it. But when we're breaking down a low block and we're breaking down a defence, you still kind of need that number 10. You'll remember in that video I talked about what Leeds' problem was and that we needed to sign a number 10 who could play those balls through. I think David Brooks can be the sort of player to play those balls through if he can rediscover his form. So it's a little bit of a risk, but because it's a loan, it wouldn't be the end of the world if it didn't work out. Long shots as well is strong, according to whoscored.com. That's a good thing because Leeds really have been struggling to shoot from distance. I understand the irony, given that Patrick Bamford's goal against Peterborough was unbelievable last weekend. But when you look at the season as a whole, taking shots from outside the box really hasn't been our strong suit. So having somebody like David Brooks who could pick up those positions in the pocket between the holding midfielders and the defenders of the opposition on the edge of the box and having the confidence to go and shoot, I genuinely think would be a real bonus for Leeds. Like I said, he's played on the right wing. He's 26 years old now, plays for Wales alongside, Chris Mepham and Joe Rodon, Dan James, Ethan Ampadu. So he has that connection there, and that's probably as well a little bit why the link has happened maybe. If there's nothing in it, it's probably because of that Welsh link. But certainly, I think he would be a good player there. This season, he's only played 14 times, and he's played 4 as a attacking midfielder on the right hand side, 1 as a right winger, and he's played 1 game as a central attacking midfielder, a number 10. The 1 game he played as a central attacking midfielder was his highest rated performance of the season. So for me, I think that's probably going to be his best position if he was to come in, especially with Dan James's pace down the right-hand side. It kind of slots into that middle role, I think, with a little bit less mobility, but an ability to find players in tight situations. So I think that one's one to look out for, certainly. Maybe not the most glamorous sign in the world, but one to look out for because he was certainly tipped to be a great player at one point. So let's hope we can revitalise his career. Next one, I've already mentioned it, is Chris Mepham. You'll be seeing some of his statistics on screen as well now. Now, this one's a bit of a weird one because Farke likes a ball-playing centre-back, and there's a little bit in here where you think, okay, well, let's have a look at his statistics. And this is in the last 365 days, so this includes last season as well. He's not really contributed to any goals or shots, hardly, compared to other defenders. He's not attempted many passes at all. He's really low for those things. Passes attempted 46.48 per 90. Puts him in the 22nd percentile, so he's hardly seeing anything of the ball. His pass completion for a centre-back is quite low. Puts him in the 32nd percentile. Again, percentile, so if he's in the 32nd percentile, he's in the bottom 68%. Yeah, he's in the bottom 32%. Yeah, sorry. My brain went then. Even it gets complicated for me sometimes, even. But when you actually look at his defensive statistics, they're good. His defensive statistics are really good. Tackles, 2 per 90, 83rd percentile. Interceptions, 1.82, 92nd percentile. Blocks, 1.48, 75th percentile. Clearances, 6.17, puts him in the 99th percentile, so the top 1%. Aerials won 2.52, puts him in the 70th percentile, so again, the top 30th percent. But they're really good for a defender when you want them to just defend like old school defenders. But I'm not sure in Farke's system he would be the best player for it. I think maybe, again, this might just have been tipped because of the Welsh connection. According to WhoScored.com, his strengths are his dribbling, holding on to the ball, so you can see how that would be something that maybe Farke would be looking at and going, okay, well, that's kind of what we want. So you see Joe Rodon, don't you, charging into midfield sometimes with the ball to bypass a press. You see Pascal Struijk doing it on the other side. Maybe if he's identified that Mepham can be that type of player. And maybe he's seen stuff in the past as well. Listen, it's not just based on the last 365 days. This is just to get a general idea of the form of a player, how they've been playing over the last year. But in general, Farke might have seen things in the past, and he certainly will have played against him plenty of times, Chris Mepham. And Farke will have seen things that he's gone, okay, well, yeah, I can see how he would be good at passing. I can see why. Maybe it's just because he's not in a passing system or a team who's under pressure all the time because his last 365 days have been in the Premier League. Maybe if he was in the Championship, you'd see slightly different statistics because he might be a little bit more of a dominant team. And so maybe there is something in that. But for me, I think he doesn't quite fit the bill. I think he's a very solid defender. He'd have good chemistry with the other Welsh lads that he plays for the national team with. I just don't quite think that he fits the bill in a season where we kind of have to get promoted. That's my only issue. You'll have to let me know what you think down in the comments below. Obviously, David Brooks seems like the one that I think I would take as a number 10 in there on loan. Obviously, we lost out to Fabio Carvalho, gone to Hull City instead, probably just to guarantee himself some more game time, or for Liverpool to guarantee him some game time, because you're never going to get that guarantee at Leeds when you've got such good players in the attacking positions. So that's kind of understandable. I get that because he wants to go and play football. His end goal is to be playing for Liverpool or another top side. But David Brooks, I think, could be one where we could sort of reignite his career. I do think that. Mepham's actually played a lot of games as well for Bournemouth this season, so maybe he's probably part of Iraola's plans. So it remains to be seen, but watch this space on these two. And if we do sign them, I will do some more detailed analysis with some. I know we can't do videos on here, but we'll do pictures and showing where players are and tactics board and all that sort of thing. But I thought I wanted to give you a rough overview of the recent transfer news. So if you've enjoyed it, hit that like button, hit that big red button down there as well. Thanks for watching Leeds Lately, and I'll see you in the next one.